Hi, I'm Dr. Archer Crosley, and this is Real World Pediatrics. So today, I'm going to talk about colic. So what is colic? Well, colic is a condition characterized by excessive, inconsolable crying in infants during the first few months of life. It's typically defined by the following criteria. It usually occurs in infants between 2 weeks and 4 months of age, and it's characterized by prolonged crying episodes, usually occurring at nighttime when the parents want to go to bed. And there's no apparent cause. There's no ear infection, there's no signs of infection. And it may be associated with spit up, gas, and difficulty sleeping. Officially, it's a common condition occurring up to 30% of infants. In my own personal experience, in my practice, it's probably about 70% of infants, babies. Usually resolves on its own by the time the baby is 3 to 4 months of age. So what's the underlying cause? Well, we don't exactly know for sure. It could be a food intolerance, perhaps a food allergy. Probably it's developmental. It just might take time for the baby's intestines to gain the ability to break down and absorb the proteins and sugars within the milk that we're throwing at the baby. Your baby, just because he's born, isn't yet a fully formed and functional human being. It takes time. Now, we know that the brain is still developing as the baby grows into an infant, and the same thing is probably going on inside the gut. In the final analysis, we're in the dark here. Your intestines are a big black box, and we just don't know for sure exactly what's going on. Nevertheless, we treat the colic anyway. Now, often we doctors and parents, we're fighting a losing battle. You probably know that already. Colic is not a simple condition to treat. In many babies, and it is, but in some babies, it isn't. So how do we treat it? Well, today I'm going to talk about the milks. We do it principally by changing milks. Now, we do give medicines at times, and there are other measures, but today I'm going to talk about the formulas. The different formula options that we have today permit us to offer milks that have different combinations of proteins and sugars. In fact, there are a dizzying array of choices these days. In the old days, it was simple. We only had the regular cow-based and soy formulas. Well, now we have many, many more choices. In fact, there are so many choices, it's difficult for your doctor to keep up with them. But there are a few broad categories that we can define for the various milks. Before I begin, let me just say, it is possible for babies to not tolerate breast milk. I've seen it happen. With that stated, here are the broad categories. Number one, we can change the proteins in the milk to a soy-based milk, such as Pro-Soy or Isomilk. These soy milks have no cow-based proteins. Number two, we can stick with the cow-based proteins and we can chop them up for easier digestion. We call this process of chopping them up hydrolysis. And this is the basis for milks like Gentilese, Nutramigen, or Alimentum. We can also change the composition of the proteins by using more whey in the baby formula. Whey is a natural component of cow's milk. This stands in contrast to casein, the other major protein in milk. Now, nutritionally, both are pretty much the same. Whey, however, is more rapidly digested and absorbed by the body. That's why bodybuilders eat a lot of whey protein. Milks that have more whey protein would be milks like Gerber, Good Start Soothe, and Similac Total Comfort. I'm going to put a little list of these milks up here so that you can see them. So in a nutshell, that's the rationale for changing the milk in babies with colic. We can go with a soy protein, we can hydrolyze or break up the proteins, or we can go with a formula that has more whey protein. Now, if none of that works, I tell parents to go with the best thing that does work. Usually by that time, the baby is somewhere around 3.5 to 4 months of age, and we are ready to begin food. When we begin baby feeding with something like Gerber, in a vast, overwhelming majority of cases, this problem of colic goes away. And so that's why I think that baby colic is largely a function of the baby's gut developing the capabilities of fully handling baby formula. Now, of course, breast milk is the ideal. Okay, well, that's it for today. That's all I wanted to talk about with regard to this aspect of colic. And in other videos, I'm going to talk about more aspects. Okay, thank you very much.